Alright, hi guys, and welcome back. So we're going to go over this Just a Note, the dies. Remember, I did not get the stamp set, I only got the dies. So we're going to go ahead and make a card using that die set. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to pull out, and I haven't thought this all the way through, but you know how it is, we'll go with it. I'm going to pull out some of these brighter colors. Let's see what I might have in here. I have a really bright yellow. Yeah, maybe not. Let's do, how about this green? Oh, I have a lot of greens in here. Let's see if I have a good scrap of a bright green. We'll use that triangle. And let's do that, and then let's go back here to the yellow, and let's use that. All right. So let's go ahead then, and what we're going to do, I'm going to bring out my mini pen emboss machine, because most of these dies, in fact all these dies, work with just the mini. And what I'm going to do is we're going to cut out a bunch of the arrows. So we're going to focus on these two here. I can get that one off. You know what? That's when come here and pull it off. There we go. My goodness, they're all getting stuck together now over here. All right, so we're going to be using these two arrows. Let's put this off to the side so I don't get that lost anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to angle all these because of surface area going through. So I have my platform 1, my 2 plates. Let me go in for just a second because I think my saturation, let me see if I can figure out how to. I thought there was a way I could go into my settings because I changed some of these, but that is, I mean, it's pretty true to color, but this is Granny Apple Green. I feel like with the saturation I have, it looks more like lemon lime. So I may not be able to do that while I'm recording, so I'll look at that when we're done. So let's go ahead and let's drop those out. So those come out. Put these over here. We'll put these over here. Let's do the same with this color. This is pretty in pink. So again, here's those. Let's take out these dies. There we go. Got those two out. Let's do the yellow. The yellow might be a little bit too big to go through, so let's just go ahead and put that down. Sorry, it's really close to the microphone, so hopefully that didn't. Yeah, that definitely, because that's making it look more like the old yo-yo yellow. Do you guys remember yo-yo yellow? This is daffodil, which is a bright yellow, but that definitely on camera is making it look a lot lighter. All right, and the last color is Granny Apple Green. Sorry. So let's go ahead and go like this and this to cut that through. Move it away from that edge just so that plate gets underneath there. So now we have all of our little arrows that we're going to use for this card. Back over here. Let me try to get these out. There we go. All right, so there's our arrows that we're going to be using. All right, I think that's it for the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. Sorry, and that is right by the microphone, so sorry about that. All right, so now what I think I'm also going to do is take, let's see if I can find a clean piece of white. Doesn't have anything stamped on the back that's a little bit bigger. Go all the way to the back here. I tend to use them a lot, so I usually don't have a lot left in there. Okay, there's, I think those are all about the same size. Yep, so that's a good size. We'll go ahead and use that. Because what I want to do here is I'm going to spritz this with alcohol and I'm going to drop the same colors onto that with re-inkers. And I think I have all those re-inkers. Let me bring over my current re-inkers and see. Because I should have thought about that before I did this. There's Daffodil. There's, what was the other one? Pretty in Pink. Alright, that might be over here. Granny Apple Green. Maybe I don't usually get a lot of re-inkers unless I'm doing Technique. Which one is this? I don't know what color that is. Looks like it says Lemonade. Okay, let me pull it up. Yeah. A Lemon Lime Twist. All right, we can use that. I thought it said Lemonade. Because this one is definitely Parakeet Party, and I don't know why it's in my current. All right, and then I have to have some sort of pink over here. Sweet Sorbet. Melon Mambo. Can't believe I don't have a pink. Here's Fleur Flamingo. So it's not an exact match, but it's going to be in the general color scheme. I'm not going to use Berry Burst because it is truly a very dark color, and we're going to see. I'm going to spritz some alcohol on there. We're going to drop a few drops on there, and the reason why we're using the alcohol is the alcohol dries really fast. I have to spritz it again. Start moving the way I want it to. There we go. Just want to make kind of a crazy looking background. All right, just put a little more on there. Like I said, your cardstock is going to be really saturated, but it is alcohol, and alcohol inks, or alcohol usually as a whole, dries pretty quickly. Grab that one color there, didn't like it too much. All right, and I'm going to see if I can drop this in there without adding any more. That came out quite a lot. Want to be a little careful. Getting that too much into the greens is just going to turn it into a brown. So I want to kind of be careful. See, you can see it, like it's not even looking like it's pink anymore because I'm mixing with that yellow. All right, so let's go ahead and just take another piece of, this is the backing of this grid paper. Just going to press that down. take a lot of that off. We got to be careful with this because until this dries, that's very saturated. But like I said, it is alcohol, so it will dry pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and put these off to the side here, and let me wipe off my glass mat. All right. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so not exactly turning out the way I thought it was going to, but that's all right. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down. Now, I'm only going to do it like it's a partial page. So I'm going to go like that there. But I want to make sure that it's kind of straight at the top so it doesn't look crooked. All right, so let's bring this back out. It's not completely dry yet. It is getting drier, but it's not completely dry yet. So we'll see how this turns out. Because I don't think I want to do it. I don't think I want to bring it. Yeah, because see, it's off the page. I think I want to do it more like this. I'm going to get that darker amount off to the side. I'm lining up the edge of the paper with the inside of the die. There we go. It's pretty. Oops. That was like almost perfectly on, and then I came off it. There we go. Let me do it a little bit more up because I don't want that circle to be off. I think I want to do it. Let's go against that edge. That way those two circles are there. Yeah, I think I want to do it that way. All right, now let's try this. All right, that looks pretty good. And does it look pretty square? For the most part. If I put that against that line, it's a little bit off. So once it dries, right now we can't really do it, but once it completely dries, we can actually maneuver that up. All right. So what we're going to do now is I want to take a base. This is 4, and we'll cut this to 5 1/4. And then this is approximately, it's like 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, just a little bit. So I think if I do a 3 by 3, I'm looking over here. If I do a 3 by 3, that's going to give me a pretty good, I think a pretty good backdrop. And I love these two colors together. Don't ask me why. So let me go ahead, because I think I want to measure this up exactly. So I'm going to make this 3. And I'm going to make this 2 3/4. So 3 by 2 3/4. Leave that all over there. Perfect. Giving me, I might trim this just 1/8 of an inch more, because I want it to be a very small border. There we go. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of point these. We're going to stamp our sentiment in there, and we're going to kind of be pointing towards our little saying. Let's figure out which ones of these look the best. I think I really want, maybe I'll start the small one up there, because this way then I can cover up a lot of that blob there. Let's see, so that would be a pink one in there. Yeah, I think that looks good. I might bring it in just a little bit more. There, that looks pretty good, lined up. So let me go ahead and take my repositionable tape so I can keep those on the same order. All right, and let's go ahead. I'm going to stamp on this now. Now it's still kind of wet, but I'm not going to dry it with my heat tool just because I'm afraid that that's going to tear the paper, because the paper is a little wet. So let's see, what grading do I want to put on there? I'm just looking over here. Let's see how that thankful for you. Oh, that's a little bit too big, I think. Yeah, that's a little too big. I kind of want a wonky font. You know what I'm saying? The one that's kind of a mix match. Let me see what's in Be My Valentine. Yeah, no, not that one either. This is the hardest part of it. It's finding that perfect phrase. So you know what? When worst comes to worst, you get either sentimental framing or wonderful thoughts. Oh, I'm wondering how So Happy You're My Person will look. Which one is it? It's that one right there. Oh, that might look really good. Look. And we'll have those little arrows kind of pointing. Let me put them down. Yeah, I think that's the one. I'm going to put that all the way over. Okay, I think that's what I want to do. Let me get one of my bigger blocks. Make sure it's big enough. Hopefully that's dry enough now that this won't bleed the minute I stamp on it. Bring it down here. I want that to go right in. That looks good. See, that's how I know the saturation is off, because I stamped that in black, and down below it doesn't look black, but it is. It is black. All right. So now let's go ahead. I'm going to put my tape on this, since that is still a little wet. I know I have a little bit around the edge, so I'm just going in a little bit from the edge. Let's go ahead and do this. And I'm just tapping around that. I don't want to tap over that black just in case it's not yet dried. All right, so let's go ahead now and use the multi-purpose. I'm going to put most of the glue on this side, because some of this is going to be hanging off the edge. So this is going to be like this. I think I'll tack it down. And let's go ahead. Let's go like that. I can't tell where that pink one is though, but we'll have a little bit of time to rearrange it. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to move this one just a little bit over, because it's just a little bit too close to that N. Oh, I like that. And now, just because there's a lot of visual space, and I usually don't like doing this after the fact, but just because there's a lot of visual space there that is left on that, I think that's Coastal Cabana. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go along the sides of this, and I'm getting that purple just inside there, and I'm doing a score line. You're going to see it's going to be very faint. You can see it much better in person. Let me get that purple back in there. It's a little hard because that layer is right there. It's kind of keeping me from doing that. All right. Can you see that? You know what? I'm wondering, do I have enough time? Let me see. To lift it up and do my, yep, I do. This way I can actually go in there and get those lines deeper. I might even do it on the other side. So now what I'm doing is I'm just lining up that line to the outside of this. So I know my lines will be somewhat in the same, kind of parallel to one another. We'll put it that way. I'm not going to say it's perfectly parallel, but it gives enough of an interest that, and I might even turn it over to the other side. All right, so that's how that was, but I think I do want to turn over to this other side. Just because you see those lines a little bit better. Yeah, we'll go with our original. Ooh, knocked down my raincoat. Good thing I had the lids on. All right, so let's come back over here now. Let's go like that. Let's put a little bit of bling on there. How about that too? You gotta love the bling. All right, let's get our base card, which I think I'm gonna do as a white. Yep, I think that looks good. So let me bring it up. All right, I'll glue that down in a little bit here. Let me show you some of the other examples I did with this die set. This, I forgot to mist my paper before I put it through that corrugated folder, so it actually caused it to be ripped, which after the fact I kind of liked the way it looked. So remember, sometimes with these 3D embossing folders, the cardstock, it gives you such a great impression. Sometimes it can rip your paper. All right, so I kind of like how that one turned out. I know these are usually the binder clips that go on the outside, but I loved them as an accent. So I went ahead and put them there. And then the last one, I drew my own lines. As you can see, I didn't use a marker. I used a ballpoint pen, which isn't the greatest because they can, excuse me, bleed a little bit. But went ahead and did that notebook page. And these are just some die cuts I had laying around in my die cut folder. All right, guys, there you have it. Have a great day. Give me a thumbs up, share on your social media. Most of all, take care of yourself. Bye for now.